And welcome to the fall 2023 Google Maps Playbook webinar. This is always one of my favorites. Google Maps or Google Business Profiles are sort of my favorite online marketing strategy to use. I feel like they give, they drive tons of leads for local businesses. They're obviously high value leads and they're high converting. They always turn into revenue. So it's one of my favorite sort of topics to talk about. So what we look at is our accelerated growth model. Essentially, we're trying to build a system with our marketing that drives leads, whether we're using organic SEO, which, Google Maps is a part of that, whether we're using paid search or our database that we've built up over time of previous customers or potential customers that didn't actually, convert into revenue at the first time. We might get them the second time. So we want to drive leads, maximize conversion. Okay, we're looking at our website and actually how many of those leads we can turn into revenue with certain things like building automation, utilizing automation to nurture those leads, all the way through to then optimizing results. Okay, so we're driving leads to our business, we're closing them at a higher rate as possible, and then we want to turn around and maximize the return that we see from each lead, build up our customer lifetime value, reduce cost per lead, and essentially always just trying to scale what's working and remove what's not, or cut the dead weight that's not working. So, and if we look at, again, what we're sort of talking about today, the organic section is where we get some of our best priced leads, right? So if you're not utilizing a good organic SEO or search engine optimization strategy, I really want you to sort of have a think about how you could start utilizing this, because it's essentially free leads. Now, you might pay a company like Allscapes or some other company that can provide SEO for you, whatever, or you're doing it yourself. Maybe you're turning up to these webinars in the hopes that you can sort of learn enough to start driving a few of these leads yourself. And organic is one of the best strategies to do that, right? It's cheap and it's exponential. The bigger your brand grows online, the more leads you get for that same investment. Okay, but it is really just one piece of the puzzle. We've got a whole growth roadmap here for that we sort of utilize for landscape contractors, and we sort of focus on each one of these key areas one by one or in conjunction with each other to essentially, as I mentioned before, drive those leads and as many as we can possibly get, maximize our closing ratios, build up our brand reputation, and then optimize those results, turning it into, better and better returns as we go. So what we like to use at Allscapes Marketing is what we call the digital dominance method. And we find these are kind of the tools that we've tested time and time again and proven that we can create repeatable results for our clients. And we start with that driving those leads, right? Through whether it be local service ads, SEO, organic. Then we're always trying to retarget those leads that didn't convert the first time around. We obviously use online directories, wherever we can get fresh new leads, right? And then pay-per-click ads, Google ads. If you're not utilizing a good pay-per-click campaign, that's something you might want to think about. Social media, automation. Again, you want to be nurturing your leads. One thing that I notice with a lot of companies that I start working with, and this has changed in the last sort of 3 to 5 years enormously. We went from seeing almost no automation, or only the really big companies using automation, sending out emails, sending out text messages on autopilot to their previous leads or previous customers, and nurturing them, right? Building a relationship with them. It's one of the biggest drivers of local business growth over the last 3 years. So it's something that if you're not utilizing a CRM, something you should definitely be looking into. And then, of course, to drive up that customer lifetime value, we want to hit repeat and referral business. Okay, so it sort of becomes full circle. And we're retargeting as well, if I didn't mention that. Retargeting those old leads that maybe didn't convert the first time around. But so, as part of a well-rounded strategy, if you're hitting all of these areas, this is where you start to see the 3x growth, the 4 or 5, all the way to 10x growth. If you're hitting these at a big enough scale, this is where you'll see your company really start to take steps up quite fast, almost, I mean, in the scheme of things, almost overnight, right? So before I kind of continue, I'd just like to sort of ask that you turn off cell phones, turn off Facebook. If you're a landscape business owner and you're serious about getting better results with Google Maps, this is for you. This could honestly potentially change your life, especially if you're one of the smaller companies, and you're looking to just sort of start dabbling in your own SEO. You want to start implementing some of these tips. You'll see a return, and make sure you're paying attention as we go. I put a lot of effort into these, so it would mean a lot to me. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover some of the latest updates with Google Maps. We're going to cover potentially the 5 biggest issues that could be preventing you from ranking. Google Business has been something that, when they rank in the map pack, and I have clients sometimes, or I have people asking me sometimes that maybe they were ranking for one reason or another, and they're getting most of their business is driving through Google Maps, and all of a sudden they drop, right? And this is happening, and especially over the last few years. Some of the updates that we're going to talk about, we've seen these drops in Google Business rankings, and their business almost comes to a grinding halt. So I want to talk about some of those issues that may be preventing you from either jumping back up or getting up there in the first place in the rankings. And I want to talk about our proven model, obviously, for ranking in the 3-pack, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you guys today. And also some tools to start to create some systems in your processes. We want to utilize the tools wherever we can. They really can do a lot of the heavy lifting. They can automate a lot of those repetitive tasks down to things like review generation. So we're going to talk about that as well. Now, guys, obviously, big question that you're probably all asking is who am I, and why listen to me? Okay, so I am a Google and Facebook or Meta partner, and have been for some time. My company as well. And I am also the author of the Complete Guide to Internet Marketing for Landscapers. Okay, now the book hasn't been published yet. It's in the works, and it should be published in the next couple of months, I believe. Really, really excited to get that out. And if you're on this meeting today or you catch the replay, I'm going to be sending you a copy in the coming months. So drop me an email if you like. You can go to my website, allscapesmarketing.com, and hit contact@allscapesmarketing.com and send them an email and ask for the book, and I'll send you out a free copy. We are an active member of the National Association of Landscape Professionals, California Landscape Contractors Association, and the Connecticut Nursery and Landscape Association, among others. But they're some of the main ones that we are active in and occasionally do business with. I've spoken at SEO and internet marketing events across the US. I've published articles in SEO Journal, Forbes, MarketWatch, many others. And my company was just announced as one of the top 10 Google marketing solution providers of 2023 by MarTech Outlook. Voted the best SEO agencies and best digital marketing agencies by Expertise in 2023. Widely accepted as one of the top experts in local SEO and internet marketing in the US. I've worked with hundreds of home service companies over the years and landscape contractors across the US and internationally. And I've also been very active and actively involved in coaching other marketing companies, local SEO companies, sales, all around that sort of world. So I've done a little bit of everything, and I've chosen to, really dive deep into landscaping because I feel like we get the best results for landscaping companies, and it's what I truly love to do. So, like I say, this is what we do. Okay, this is some of my team here, and our mission by 2025, we want to at least triple the sales of 1,000 companies globally, landscaping companies globally. Okay, whether that's having them become clients of ours, whether that's utilizing things like these free trainings, building their own sales. We want to ultimately triple the sales of up to of 1,000 companies plus in the landscaping industry by 2025. So over the last probably 5 years, there's been a handful of things that have been introduced that I get this question a bit. Does Google Maps matter? Or does it still matter? Okay, at one point it was a real heavy lifting driver of local business marketing, and it was producing at a really high rate. And the local search algorithm changes frequently. And we also saw hundreds, if not thousands, of spam companies coming onto the market, building these fake profiles, ranking them and then renting the leads out for sometimes a substantial fee to real local contractors, right? And they kind of took over. It seemed like they took over the market. Real businesses were falling out of the map pack, and it really hurt, I think, a lot of the market share for local businesses. And so people ask, does Google Maps still matter? Okay, and what I want to say is that to this day, we still see at least 44% of online searches for landscaping contractors. You can see at the top there, landscapers near me. 44% of searches result in a click or a call, click to the website or a call to the map pack here. And you can see that it's normally a three pack, but there's a sponsored or an ad at the top there as well. And if you're talking about keywords or search phrases that people are entering into Google potentially 100 times per month in your area, that's 44 potential clicks coming through to your website, or 44 potential phone calls coming through to your phone. So it absolutely matters. And the other thing is about the Google algorithm changes is what we've seen is that they've been quite successful at ridding mostly the lead generation companies. Okay, these companies that came in and took those spots at the top, they're starting to remove those. And again, this is a little bit more on why they matter, right? 405 Google Maps calls you can see here from a total investment of $3,000, just over $3,000. One of our clients, 405 Google Maps calls in a month. Yes, they absolutely matter. Oop. Skipping through them here a little bit, but 762 organic Google Maps calls in 1 month. I skipped over a couple there, but absolutely they matter. You cannot rely on pay-per-click advertising alone, right? If as part of that strategy, that accelerated growth model that I mentioned earlier, if you're only hitting that one point of the one section of the market, you're really doing yourself a disservice and cutting out a much larger portion of the market by only focusing on PPC. Organic is a far larger and far cheaper section of the market, and it is possible to still rank, particularly on Google Maps, for local businesses. So don't rule it out. It's a huge player, and it remains to be to this day. So some of the biggest changes that we've seen lately is, and this is a couple of years ago now, but depending on how closely you've been following this, most people don't really follow this, or they might see it once or twice and they don't really know what's happened. And and obviously a huge change was Google. It used to be Google My Business, and before that it was Google Places, and then before that it was Google Local. And Google Places Plus. Excuse me, I'm just going to let a couple of people in here. So it's consistently changing over the years, but it's now being called Google Business Profiles. They're trying to get it to where it's kind of an umbrella term for both Maps and what was my business, Google My Business as well. But that was a huge change, and they rolled out quite a few other changes with that as well. It's now to manage your Google Business Profile, you're doing it either directly on Google Search or on the Google Maps app on your phone. Okay, so they removed the dashboard, the Google Manager or the Google Business Manager dashboard that we're all well accustomed to and loved, and some of us marketing companies was much nicer because you could manage lots of different businesses kind of all in one place, and now we're kind of going away from that. It's made it a little bit more challenging for us, but as always, we sort of adapt and change to the Google gods, so that's okay. Anyway, verifications are becoming increasingly difficult and requiring video recordings or video calls. So you might have had this where if you were setting up a new listing, Google wants to actually have a one-on-one video call with one of their representatives where you have to walk around, show them tools, show them your job site. If you have an office, show them your office, signage. And even then, it wasn't impossible, or they were still declining people. This Google is really waging war on these local lead gen companies, and I wrote a blog on this about how Google is just doing everything they possibly can to remove out the lead generation companies from Google Business or the Google Business Profiles and Google Maps specifically. They're trying to rip them out, and the algorithm, they have turned the screws right down. Okay, it became, for a minute there, it was really, really, really difficult to get a listing live, and if for whatever reason you had one become suspended, it was extremely difficult to get it reinstated. They've eased it back a little bit on that, but still a challenge, right? And to this day, we're still seeing clients and businesses have trouble just getting a listing verified. And it's hard to say it's a good thing when it's keeping real businesses out, but at the same time, it has made a huge difference to that landscape. So reviews are often being flagged for spam and not being displayed. The algorithm looks at hundreds of different factors as to when you're looking to verify a listing or when a review gets placed. It looks at the email account or the Google account that was used to write the review. Where does that person normally reside? Where is their IP address when they wrote it? Can we see anything where that person has checked in anywhere near the location of the business that it's leaving a review on? Because what we saw with the rise of the lead generation companies, we also saw a huge amount of fake reviews as well, right? And so this is kind of just another result of Google trying to really tighten up the screws on what it allows through its algorithm. And again, it is an algorithm. It's not a person that's sitting there and saying, nope, yes, nope, yes. It's literally just an algorithm that has a set of things that it looks at. And if you tick so many of the boxes or you flag so many of the boxes, it gives it a yes or no. And so we saw at times when they had just cranked those screws right up, we had seen people basically pleading with Google to allow real reviews again to be displayed on their profile, because it does affect rankings. It does affect click-through rates and things like that. And it got difficult. They've removed business sites. Okay, so it was a nice little SEO trick at one point to build like a secondary website on the Google domain business.sites. Okay, and it was kind of attached to the Google profile itself, and it was generally made for companies that didn't have a website, but it actually produced a really powerful, authoritative website that made it kind of nice, or it gave like a nice little ranking boost if you use it in conjunction with your main website. They've since removed those, or they have removed access to new ones. And so we're not able to sort of utilize that or leverage those anymore as part of an SEO strategy, which is a shame, but again, we adapt. And insights has changed to performance. So when previously you would go into the Google Manager dashboard and find insights to see how many website visits you'd had throughout the months, or calls or direction requests, that's now changed to performance, where it's managed on Google Search or in the Google Maps app. As far as the search experience changes, we've seen things like, and again, over the years, we've seen some pretty large changes from the way that the search results page is displayed to us. Okay. We've seen the addition of local service ads, previously home services, okay, which is now called Google Guaranteed Local Service Ads. And the map pack has reduced from 7 to 5 to 3. Okay, so that online real estate in that map pack has become even more valuable as they've reduced the amount of businesses they're displaying in there, which is good for the ones that make it. But if you were in fourth or fifth position before they did it, and you were still receiving, you know, a handful of calls a month, those would have dried up. So okay, so local service ads. These are one of the most, these have been a huge win for local businesses, because you cannot find, like in standard Google ads where you see sponsored here, what we've seen is a huge rise in companies like Yelp, Thumbtack, Home Advisor, which is now Angie's, and Angie's List is now also just Angie's, and House. All of these companies, they're actually bidding, and they're bidding extremely high for these local keywords in the pay-per-click ad section, and making it difficult for local businesses to have a, you know, a decent run at at pay-per-click ads without some, you know, without an expert or whatever that can bid on the keywords at the right times and things, to not get these huge $30 a click clicks. And so Google Guaranteed, there's no, once again, it's similar to Maps. It's only local businesses, only real local businesses. They do require a background check, but they have been a real winner for local businesses. And again, being displayed at the very, very, very top of Google is prime real estate. And being the fact, and if you haven't been using these guys, like, go and start this as soon as possible. Okay. Because not only do they deliver good leads, and they're affordable because there aren't these huge, you know, multi-million-dollar corporations bidding on the keywords, but if someone calls you and asks you for a service that you don't offer, or they're in a location that you don't serve, okay, and it's not, and you haven't set the service ads saying that I serve this location, you can actually request a refund on that lead. So they're a pay per lead ad, and they're a pay per qualified lead ad. So if you kind of, you know, you might end up with 3 or 4 leads here and there that you think, no, they're not in my service area, or I don't do that service. You can dispute them, and I think it's like 2 clicks, and quite often they will actually they'll refund it, no questions asked, and it's a very easy process. So definitely worth utilizing local service ads. And I've just got a couple of prices here too, that the lead cost for landscapers. Now there's a few different categories that you can sign up to bid on. Okay, there's landscaping, there's hardscapes, there's fencing, pest control if you're doing pest control, and there's a few others. And depending on sort of, what you're going for, the landscape leads generally hover around the $30 mark. Now, if you're in a really high competition area, I'm in San Diego, and it's it's extremely high competition in search engine optimization, in SEO, and in PPC. And so too, local service ads. There's a lot of companies there's a lot of bidding going on. So the cost's a little higher. But if you're in, most other areas, around $30 per lead. And again, if it's not a real lead, you will get that money back. Okay. And you can see here a little bit of a breakdown of what the search results look like with the Google Guaranteed at the top. The standard Google Ads used to be Google AdWords. I feel like everything we talk about, used to have another name or was previously known as something else. And staying up to date on that, and, kind of knowing what this landscape looks like when you are starting to, advertise your business or market your business in these sections, you do need to know it, or have an idea of it, so that if you are working with a company that's running LSA ads for you, local service ads for you, PPC ads for you, looking after your local SEO, you want to know where your business is being shown. And if you want to start, doing some keyword searches and whatnot, you can come in and check and make sure that you are, showing up where you should be. So if you want to go and sign up for the local service ads, just go to adwords.google.com/local services/sign up. Okay, I'll leave that there for a minute if you wanted to write it down. But again, affordable leads, you can dispute disqualified leads, and real local businesses only. So there's a few pretty major pluses about using these. And I am going to be running a training in the coming weeks on the best way to set these up, the best way to optimize them, service area, services, to make sure that you have them set up, to get the best results possible. And you can really scale these quite high. I mean, there's only so much market share that's going to go to it, but you can really scale these quite high, knowing that you can get refunded for anything that's not a real lead. Okay, so I think ultimately for us as local businesses, the goal is to try and dominate the local search results, right? If we really want to scale our business, we don't want to just show up in the map pack. We don't want to just show up on local service ads or pay-per-click or organic. We really want to dominate all of these. And that even goes for ensuring that we're found in third-party listings like Angie's, Yelp, House, not necessarily the paid listings. That's sort of our, when we've really optimized our digital dominance method that we spoke about earlier, we might start looking into, and we've got supplemental budget that we want to start, we want somewhere else to put it. We might look into paying Yelp or House or Angie's to see what kind of leads we're getting in the specific market. But really, we just want to have an organic listing or a free listing in those areas, in those listings, so that if it does get some eyeball, they do get eyeballs on those lists, real people looking for local contractors. And if you're in there, it sort of stands to reason that, maybe they choose you. Okay. And that is quite bottom of the funnel, where when people are going to those kind of listing services, particularly Yelp, because a lot of Apple users use Yelp, they're almost ready to purchase. So it's a good idea to at least have a listing in those. Now we're talking about these fake lead or lead generation companies that would create fake listings, fake websites, okay? And they would claim to be a landscaper. or they'd claim to be some other home service contractor, and they'd stick a number there, and they'd create a nice little logo and all these images and, stock images and everything. Content on the, written like it was written by a business owner, and they'd rank them. They'd come up with ways of getting them at the top of Google, and then they would rent those calls to business owners, to real business owners. And as Google tightened the screws on its algorithm, they claim that they've removed fake listings by 70% since 2015. So they've come a long way, and the algorithm, it changes frequently. But what a lot of these companies were using were to rank and to create the listings were what we call black hat techniques. Okay. And that's just an SEO term that means essentially that they were using methods that real business owners wouldn't typically use. Okay. They're creating mass amounts of content and just publishing it everywhere. They're creating backlinks, as endorsements for their website. I'm not going to go too much into this now, but they were using these techniques that Google frowns upon. And so as sort of Google began to see this happening more and more, they fixed up their algorithm, and they really swung an axe quite firm. And you can see, around that April, July period where the abusive listings registered climbed, they were really swinging that axe hard. So if you're in that category where maybe you just cannot figure out why you're not ranking, okay, in your local area, there's a few sort of top reasons that I see that, maybe you had someone work for you, one of these lead generation companies work for you that was ranking your own listing, and they've used some of these techniques that might have helped you then, but they're likely hurting you now. And so one is, you need an actual location in the city that you're targeting to rank well on, or rank in on Google Maps. Okay. PO boxes, virtual offices, rejects, they may have worked for a period. And again, I'll say this now, there's always exceptions for this. But overall, if you've got these sort of fake listings set up around the place and you've got multiple, or you can't get it to rank, that could be one reason why. Okay. Maybe you spammed Google with fake listings, right? Multiple fake listings. And I saw a lot of this happening where service areas within the listing were overlapping. Now, if you were a company that truly had a secondary location across on the other side of town, typically that would be almost your own competitor. Okay. If you had multiple locations, one would service one area and one would service the other. But because local business owners and a lot of these lead generation companies didn't read the policies on Google, they would overlap those service areas thinking, well, I don't care which one it is because it's the same person. And they'd have overlapping service areas, which is an easy thing for Google to pick up on and say, well, in a real world situation, they wouldn't want their service areas to clash like that. So if you've got multiple listings, make sure that the service areas aren't overlapping. Inconsistent name, address, phone number profile. Okay, NAP. If you've got hundreds of different directory listings, references online, citations, there's lots of different names for them. And if your name is slightly different, your address is slightly different, your phone number is different, you really want to go through and tidy that up, okay? It's less important than it once was because Google's getting better at bridging the gap between, a spelling mistake or an incorrect number in a listing, something like that. But at the same time, if you're telling Google on one listing, we serve, during these hours between 6 and 2. And on another listing over here on your business profile, we serve from 6 till 5. Google's going to kind of say, well, are you open or not between the hours of 2 to 5? I'm not going to rank you now because I'm concerned that people are either going to call or show up at your business address and you not be open. Okay. So it is important to make sure that you're consistent across all of the information that you sort of are giving to Google, right? It's going through and checking all of this for you. So, and what we saw a lot of was people would purchase a bulk citation pack from someone on Upwork or someone on Fiverr, because they read that citations are, you know, what you need to rank a Google business profile. And while they are they're an integral part of ranking a Google profile, you know, these huge citation packs were made up of mostly websites that no real visitor has actually ever been to and called a local business from. And the companies that were being paid on Upwork and Fiverr, you know, $100 here, $200 for 300 citations, they didn't care whether they made mistakes or whether the address was inconsistent or what, you know, they didn't care. They took the money, they dropped these listings, and that was it. And so if that's happened to you, you might need to do what we call like a citation audit and cleanup. Perhaps you added your city categories or keywords into the company name. Okay, this was again something that we saw for quite some time. If you were to add a keyword onto your business name, you could see a nice little rankings jump. Okay, and of course, Google sort of caught wind of that now, and I still see to this day a lot of companies that have had, again, one of these lead generation companies come in and stuff their listings or their website full of keywords, and they're not ranking, and they're scratching their heads going, why? And it's having the opposite effect. And so sometimes when we bring on clients that have had this happen to them in the past, and we remove those keywords, they jump straight back up. And also I've seen sometimes where we've removed the city from a location from the name, and in the next month they get 8,000 plus impressions on their from almost zero to over 8,000 impressions in San Diego here from just removing the keyword spam in their business name. So clean that up. You just want to, and you want to have it basically as your do business as, your DBA or your LLC is registered. And exactly like that, okay? And there are some cases where if you go and form a DBA around that company name with the keyword in it, you can get around this if you're really, really having a hard time ranking, or maybe your business name is a common business name and you want to differentiate that from some of the other businesses in the area, whatever it might be. You can go ahead and form a DBA, but this is really a last resort option to try and get that ranking. And of course, with that too, it's not hard for Google to check out how your business is registered, okay, and what the real name of it is. If you've got a triple B listing or something, it's very easy for Google to see. Do you have enough reviews across the web? Okay, reviews do play a part. I don't encourage fake reviews. There's always exceptions for all of these where people will come and say, oh, but I did this and I did that, or I put a keyword in my name. Yeah, you might see an increase in your rankings. However, eventually Google will catch on, and if it doesn't just drop your listing down in the rankings, it will disable it permanently, and then you've lost however many real reviews you had, or how, on that account. How the age of the account is important in SEO. You lose all of that. Okay, so it's really not worth it when you're talking about a pretty significant or potentially significant channel in where you're driving leads from. Okay, and there are ways to build reviews, which is something that we're going to be talking about. So our proven formula for getting ranked in the map pack. Number one, obviously going to Google Business and creating and verifying your listing. Okay. Stands to reason we've got to have one. And then we want to optimize that listing. Okay. Once you've sort of created that listing, there's a lot of different little things you can kind of play with. You can optimize images, you can optimize categories, service areas, you can add products, you can add questions. There's lots of different things on there that you can use to stand out from the crowd. And really, like, if we put a lot of different profiles together and we say, well, how do we stand out from the crowd? That's what Google's looking for too. Okay, so the same thing when a human sees it, it's kind of the way Google is trying to look at it too. So we claim and optimize our listing, and then we jump over to citations. Okay, building out our online references of your business, that name, address, phone number, or NAP. Yelp, Angie's, House, expertise with a consistent NAP. And whilst some of those directory listings that don't get real eyeballs no longer matter, and you might hear people say citations don't matter anymore, and they're half correct, but the top ones that get real eyeballs do. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, it stands to reason that if you're on those listings, whether you're being ranked, whether it's helping you rank your business list, your Google listing or not, if it's getting real eyeballs, then you may get real leads. Okay, and so it stands to reason to sort of be on it anyway. Number 3, we do want to start generating consistent reviews. Okay, all things being equal, the account, when we're looking at the optimization of the account, when we're looking at the consistency of NAP and the online references and citations, all things being equal, the account with the most reviews ultimately will win. Okay. And number 4, we want to make sure that our on-page search engine optimization is up to scratch. And we essentially want to mirror what we're putting on the GMB. If we're putting on the category landscaper, well, we want a service page for landscaping. If we're going to put on there landscape designer, well, we want a service page for landscape designer. Okay, and we want to mirror what we're saying on the GMB. All services should have their own service page. All locations should have their own page. And unique quality content on all of it. Okay. Again, how do you stand out? So number 1, claiming and optimizing your Google business profile listing. You want to make sure that that you as a business owner actually have access to your listing. Okay, we sometimes bring on clients that had somebody else managing their listing for them and who perhaps created the listing for them, and they don't have access. Make sure you have access and you're listed as the primary owner of that account. If you have a marketing company that's working for you, make sure that they have you listed as the primary owner. Okay, that means ultimately that account is yours. Okay, and they can't ever hold the keys to it, or they can't, if you separate with them, they can't, hold it for ransom, whatever. And if it's a ranking account, again, this could be a large portion of your revenue. Okay, so update your company name to read company name without spamming keywords, like we mentioned. Add your website address. Okay, this creates an important link, important inbound link to your website. Actually helps you rank in the organic section of Google. Okay, so underneath the map pack, we have the organic Google section. And make sure you're utilizing a local phone number. Okay, no 1-800 numbers. We're really trying to show not just Google, but users that we're a local company. Okay, and so that's a key point, is the phone number that you're using. Make sure it's a local, the prefix is local to that area. Use a local address, no PO box, no UPS store, no rejects. Okay, may have worked in the past, may still be working, won't work forever. When it doesn't, you lose that portion of your revenue. Upload as many photos as possible, just taken on your mobile phone. If you know how to switch your location geotagging on, it's actually going to embed the location that you took that photo into the image itself. And when you upload it to your Google business profile, it's going to tell Google, this is where that image was taken. Google's going to say, yeah, great, that was taken within the service area of that business. And it adds layers, okay? It adds layers of authenticity. Pictures of yourself, pictures of your team, pictures of your truck, your office, all these different things that that we can use to build credibility, to build authenticity as a real business in the area. Again, we're trying to differentiate ourselves from those spam listings. If we look at it that way, it's probably the easiest way to kind of look at it, is to say, well, they can't do this because they don't have them. They don't have real trucks. They don't have real team members, whatever. It's all stock images. Okay. The other thing with images you can be doing is if you're uploading it to your computer and then onto your business profile, you can rename the image as a keyword. Okay. So if you went to a job and you built a retaining wall and you took a photo of that retaining wall, or your team building the retaining wall, whatever it might be, name that image, retaining wall, location that you were in, and then hyphen, put your business name afterwards. Okay. Google actually checks the image names. So that's something you can use to build in more relevance to different keywords. And make sure you list your hours of operation correctly. Okay. It was another sort of trick to put 24 hours. And again, it might give you a boost in rankings, but if Google sees you missing a lot of phone calls after hours, which it knows, okay, it's going to hurt you in the long run. So make sure you put your real hours of operation. And again, it's not hard for Google to check. It's going to look at your website, all of your, the DMB, all those different websites that have to have that real information listed, and catch you out. Okay, so claiming and optimize. So further optimizing, if you want to add a photo on Google search, you make sure that you're in your Google account. Make sure you're logged into the Google account that's associated with your Google business profile as the owner or the manager, and just type in your business name and it'll bring up the new display on search, Google search, and you can go to add a photo. If you're on Google Maps, you'll go to edit profile. Make sure that, obviously before you do this, you've taken a bunch of photos, you've uploaded them to your computer, save them as keywords. And again, the more the merrier. We can do as many as you can possibly take and do this for, the better, okay? So just another little snapshot here of adding photos and categorizing the photos, okay? You want to make sure that your logo is optimized to where it fits, in the dimensions. Typically we use a 500 by 500 pixel image, and we shrink it down just a little bit so that it fits inside a circle, because if you fill that whole square, it's going to cut some of it off, okay? And it may put off some users, but it's just something that, you want to think about. And you can also upload a cover photo, which is like a nice image of the, of a job you've done, whatever. And the more the merrier, okay? A huge factor in marketing in general is being able to track, the cause and effect relationship between, here's what I did, whether it be in advertising or, a marketing campaign, a specific marketing campaign, an email campaign, your Google ads, to be able to see, okay, I did that and here's what happened. Okay. And it's particularly online, it can be tricky to manage tracking all of these different channels, social medias, directory listings, websites, Google Business Profile, but built in to Google Business is the ability to go and check the performance of your listing. So if you say, great, I've got all these new tips from Simon and Allscapes Marketing that I'm going to go and implement, how the heck do I know that they did anything? Maybe you'll see it jump up in the rankings. Great, that's kind of number one, but it still doesn't mean anything if it doesn't result in calls, right? And getting you more leads. And then from there, obviously we want to track revenue. But if you go into the listing and you check out performance, which again was previously called insights on the Google Manager dashboard, Profile Manager dashboard, now performance. And you can actually go through, you can look back as far as 6 months, okay, to track that incline of calls, website visits. Messages is something that's also semi-new on Google Business. You can send and receive messages for quotes and things on Google Business if you have it turned on, okay, which I do recommend you having turned on, as long as you're going to respond. Okay, don't have customers attempting to message you and not answer. That will hurt your rankings. But being able to see that cause and effect relationship is huge. Okay, we want to make sure that what we're doing results in or generates results. Okay, generates leads, generates revenue. So you can actually go and check that on the profile itself. And it's something that, again, if you've got a marketing company or you've done some things yourself in the past and you want to check this out, you can go into this and check, look as far back as about 6 months, Okay, now optimizing profile best practices. Consistency. Make sure if you are uploading photos, to try and do it on a consistent basis, okay? It's really good to go and take 100 photos, optimize them all, and dump them onto the listing. That does help, but it kind of has a diminishing effect over time. So if you upload 100 images and then nothing for 6 months, you might see a jump in rankings, but then you'll start to it'll sort of whittle away. The value of those images whittles away over time. And so whilst you might want to go and dump 100 images on there up front, because maybe your top competitors in the map pack have 80 images of their business, so you want to try and one up them. So you're like, I'm going to go and drop 100 images on my listing. Beautiful. But then continuously add them over time. Doesn't have to be 10 a week, but 1 or 2 a week or a few a month. Okay, just try and keep the value there. All right. Leveraging Google Business posts. All right, post at least once every 90 days. The reason for the 90 days is because they tend to stay in the search results for that business for a 90-day period. And after that, they disappear. So as long as you're posting once every 90 days, again, you're just maintaining the value. Okay, every bit of activity increases the value of your listing, not just what you're adding, but the activity itself. Being on there, logging into the account adds value in terms of SEO. And so as long as you're going in there periodically and you're adding some images and you're adding some posts, offers, updates, community events, whatever it might be, you can link out to blogs on your website, link to social posts, anything, get in there and just add some semi-regular posts, respond to reviews. And this has been huge. I think some of the big companies work this out, that a huge driver of increased conversions, okay, and by conversions I mean a lead becoming a customer, was actually responding to bad reviews. The studies that they did was more important than responding to good reviews. Okay, whilst we maintain replying to all reviews is important, again, activity on the account, and you can even add in things like keywords and whatnot into your replies. Okay, Maybe someone said, yeah, they did a great job, 5 stars. And we said, and you can reply, thanks. We enjoyed installing your fence, or we enjoyed installing your pool, right? We enjoyed installing your deck in San Diego. Okay, whatever. And it adds that. It might be minute, but over time it adds value to your SEO. But what a lot of people do for the bad reviews is, if you've got a couple of bad reviews, and every company gets them, whether they be a real customer or not, it can be it's important to go through and respond to those professionally and courteously, regardless of whether they're real or not. Because what a lot of potential customers tend to do is go straight to the 1-star reviews and look specifically at how that company responded to those reviews. They want to find out, well, if I'm going to choose between person A and person B, and they've both got 2 or a handful of negative reviews, who responded better? Okay, and that actually became a large driver of increased conversion. So something I recommend all our companies do. And as part of what we do for clients is making sure that we reply to every review that comes in. If you get questions asked on your listing, make sure you go in there and respond. Okay, don't leave those questions hanging. All right, it's sort of you can't attempt to rank a listing and tell Google with all of these different signals that you're giving it, hey, I want to rank and I want more customers, and then when those customers come and ask a question, you ignore them. It's just not a good look, and the algorithm picks up on that and will start to drop your listing down. So it's actually a little bit of a hack too. If you have a frequently asked questions, you might have a little list of them, or you might be able to think of half a dozen off the top of your head. You can actually go and add those questions yourself and then answer them yourself. And for potential customers coming by that have that question, they'll see that, they'll see the answer, you get the call. I mentioned before, responding to messages ASAP. Make sure you're updating your holiday hours and update your attributes. If you've got a wheelchair accessible entrance, things like that, add that onto your listing. The more information on your listing, the better. Number 2, building citations and consistency with NAP, with consistent NAP. So there's literally hundreds of different citations across the web. And again, we want to maintain the information is correct across all of them. And we want to limit the amount of duplicate listings that we have. We don't want to confuse Google, okay? Or users. As a bit of a cheat code to this, and I'll just go back to the that previous image, it's a bit of a cheat code to, especially if you've got a lot of, you do have a lot of inconsistent information online, you can utilize data aggregators, okay? And you see how these are all kind of linked up. You've got Localese here, which is Newstar. You've got Info Group, and they point out to these different citation sources. And if you go ahead and they come with a bit of a fee, but they have networks of citations that they will automatically post your listing on and update any information that you have. So if you want, if you want to utilize these, it's a bit of a cheat to go through and just put it on in one spot or in a few different spots, and it publishes it to all these different areas. And then if you do change location, you change address or phone number, whatever it might be, you just come and change it in these, and it's going to publish that change to all of those citations for you. Some of the best tools for citation cleanups and sort of citation management, we have Moz Local, Yext, Bright Local, Advice Local, Whitespark, and there's a few others, but these are some of my favorites. We use Yext and Bright Local religiously. And Yext is, you might sort of be familiar with the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the work drives 80% of the results. And it's the same is true here. Yext controls the 20%, the heavy hitters in terms of citations, the most important citations that drive 80% of results. So like using those data aggregators to push your information out to different listings, Yext does a similar, provides a similar service. And again, they all come with a fee, which as part of our clients, we sort of manage these tools for them. But Yext is kind of that heavy hitter in the industry that controls those most important listings. Okay. Keep in mind, you still want to, there's still a lot of different citations that you want to actually go and claim manually. Okay. Whether local directories, industry relevant directories, you want to make sure that you are getting in as many of those as you can. And sometimes the easiest way is to use some of these tools, which will actually show you what listings your competitors are in and going and getting the same listings. And then more, right? We want to one up them. And this is kind of a cool visual of the value of some of those top listings at the top there. Google Maps, Apple Maps, Facebook, Bing. Okay, so social medias are included as a reference of your business, of course. So make sure you're sort of making use of those. And all the way down to some of the smaller, less known directories at the bottom. Now, if you are in that category of why am I not ranking, or what could I be doing to rank higher, feel free to go to our website there, allscapesmarketing.com/audit, and request a local search audit. You're going to get a full kind of ranking report of where you're ranking for given keywords, and and just to have a look at that here, you come across this page here. This is allscapesmarketing.com/audit. Put in your information, but there's another page to that will ask you for your business information that the report needs to run, and then optional to add some of the keywords that you would like to see yourself ranking for. You can actually put in 1 to 3 different keywords to get a ranking report of those, where you're currently ranking. It'll check some of those heavy hitter citations for accurate information and whether you've got them or not, if you're unsure. A complete online review breakdown, which can be quite powerful when, there's all these different sources of reviews, and sometimes customers will have 100 positive reviews on Google, but 100 sort of somewhat negative reviews on Yelp, and it pulls your overall average down. Okay, and Google looks at both and sort of determines, that's how it determines whether who's going to rank and who won't, all things being equal, all other things being equal. And so it can give you an idea of where you want to be sending people. If you're looking to get more reviews, where should you be sending them to give you that review? You can target the one that's needs to be picked up a little bit. And it also does an audit report of your Google business profile specifically, and includes your top competitors. What are they doing to rank? Okay, so you'll get all of that information in an email sent over to you, usually within 24 hours or something. Okay, oh, there you go. So there's the page there. And this is a little bit what it looks like. Okay, you'll see your citation score, your information on these different directories, a review score, where they're coming from specifically, and then a look at where you're currently ranking for these keywords at the top here, this red highlighted rectangle. So, make use of that. And there's other information in there that's helpful too. So citations, best practices. We want to manually claim our Google business profile, okay? We don't want Yext or something like that, or another tool to do that for us. That should be done from our own computer, in our office or at our home, on our own browser manually, okay? But then you can go and use a tool like Yext for direct API access, which means they essentially publish out your information to, automatically to those top 50 citation listings. You want to list your business in those major data aggregators and leverage tools like Bright Local, Citation Finder, or Whitespark, or other tools to find those, industry relevant citations and location relevant directory listings. And those tools also show which listings your competitor has. Okay, some of the top citations for landscapers. And you'll see like some of them are general to, construction, building and construction industry. But they're all sort of part of that umbrella construction industry. And there will be some more that are specific to landscaping. And if you want a copy of this, you can go to our website at allscapesmarketing.com/citations. And again, I think it's just your name and email, and take you to a download page, and you can get that full list completely for free, and at least get started on, building out your own citations. If you're not one that wants to use a tool or, pay for a tool, you can go out and start doing it manually. And again, like most of these are niche oriented or location oriented, so you'll have to do those manually anyway. Okay, so a quick recap. We've claimed and optimized our Google business profile, and we have started building our citations with consistent NAP on those tier 1 and lower tier directories relevant to our industry and location. Okay, number 3 in the list, capturing positive reviews from your customers. So how to get more reviews? Okay, you can leverage tools to automatically request a review after every job, or even manually. You press a button, link gets sent to that person. Please leave us a review. You can leave printed review cards. You can train your technicians or your project managers, even depending on the size and scope of the job. And it's good to have, to train them to sort of plant the seed when they first begin a project. Hey, we work, we like to deliver that ultimate customer satisfaction. And we'd really, it mean a lot to us if at the end of the job, if you're happy, you'd leave us a review, and sort of future pace the customer. Okay, let them know we strive hard to get positive reviews, and it means a lot to us. We want to deliver a world-class result. You can make a call after a service and call that customer to walk them through the review process, and ask them then and there, or you can begin to build it into the culture of your company. So, a lot of sort of bigger companies, they have pre-start meetings, depending on, again, the type of job that they're performing. If they're on a larger job, more so with commercial work, but even some smaller companies have workshop meetings, things like that, where they bring all of their employees in somewhere, and they give them updates on how the company's doing, how projects are doing, and whatnot. And they might have a grill out and grill some burgers, whatever. And at the same time, you can almost incentivize review, positive reviews, and let each person in the group know, like, hey, you got this many reviews this month, great job. You got this many, and incentivize those positive reviews. And when you do that, you really do see sort of a change in company culture to start really delivering those world-class results without having to, kind of demand it. You sort of, it works really well. So that's something that we've seen with some of our clients that have implemented this. And again, don't buy fake reviews. Now, if you want to start leveraging automation, some of the good tools that you can use purely for this sort of this strategy is Bird Eye, Review Buzz, Nearby Now, and Conversion Amp. Bird Eye, I know, is it's probably the biggest in this space. Do a really good job, but it's kind of a ninja hack to utilize automation for this, because even if you train your techs and you incentivize them, there's still enough friction in that process of, okay, job starts, job finished, paid for, ask for review. There's still enough friction in that process to manually ask for that review that it doesn't it doesn't translate anywhere near as much as when I've seen companies utilize automation. This when you go through looking on Google Maps for any service that you've needed, and you look at those ones with thousands of reviews and you go, wow, how did they do that? How do they have so many reviews? They're using automation. Okay. And sometimes multiple times they will request a review from previous customers. And there's ways to set it up so it only asks certain customers and things like that. But essentially, this is the key to sort of 10xing your review amount. Okay. And another sort of ninja hack for ranking is actually review velocity, review frequency, how many you're getting each day, each week, each month. Okay. We spoke about activity. Well, review activity is a large factor in SEO. Whilst the overall volume of reviews matters, and it certainly matters to your conversion rates, lead into sale, the frequency of reviews has an impact on ranking. Okay, so we've claimed and optimized our listing, we've got our citations, and we've started to generate reviews on autopilot. The next thing that we sort of want to pay attention to, and I'm not going to go too deep into this, we're sort of coming up on time here, but on-page optimization. This is our website where we link out to from our Google business profile. We need to tell Google, hey, this is what we do, this is where we do it. And we do that, A, with having a strong website with good content and good user experience, okay? All plays a part into ranking, is having a good user experience, right? Making sure that the content is readable, explains who you are, what you do, why choose you over somebody else. Leverage multimedia to increase on-page dwell time. Videos of jobs, time lapses of jobs are fantastic, especially for backyard transformations or some of those sort of bigger jobs. And dwell time being how long a person stays on the website plays into SEO. Separate pages for each of your services and cities that you serve, okay? Unique content, and you can utilize tools like Nearby Now for review generation, which actually passes heat map data to those location pages that you have, and send signals to that page to say, this is where the job was captured, where it was performed, and it creates a heat map of all the jobs that you performed inside your service area. And it's a really good visual for customers to see. Unique content on every page, super important. Google can one of the easiest things Google can do is read, thousands of lines of content at a time, and it can see plagiarism. And so we want to make sure that you've written the content yourself, okay? And you haven't just copy and pasted, whatever. And across each page, you want unique content. You want to make sure you've got your primary keyword, as in the keyword that you most want to show for as your primary header at the top of your page. The biggest, boldest font, it's actually called a H1 or header 1. And there's H1, 2, 3, all the way to 6. You want to use that primary keyword in the H1 at the very least. And you want a meta description, which is the page description. When you Google a keyword and you have all the blue links and the little descriptions underneath, that's called your meta title and your meta description. You want to sell the click, okay? Why should the user that's just typed in landscapers near me click you? Why should they choose you? Place your name, address, phone number in the footer of your website. You want to have blog with all your ongoing updates, and you want to syndicate that content out through your social media channels. Now, it seems like a lot, right? To try and get all these different things all neat and tidy, and somebody writing blogs and doing all of this. These are just kind of, it all adds layers to your SEO, okay? So depending on where you are, the competition that you have, maybe they're strong, but if they're not, maybe a blog isn't something that you necessarily need. Okay, but I will say that in the near future, you probably will, because it's becoming very, very important to have a well maintained blog on your website. Focus on page speed for both desktop and mobile, and make sure that the website is mobile optimized. Okay, make sure it's really nice to look at on mobile, easy to use, easy to navigate, fast, and customers can, get their questions answered, and ultimately make sure that they can easily reach out to you. Okay, make sure that there's a phone number easily accessible, particularly on mobile, or a contact form in the hero of your website, so that where they land, they can see it. You contact us here. Make it easy for them. Off-page SEO. Okay, we've spoken about a few of these aspects in our Google Business Profile. Our citations, our reviews all play into this. We also want to try and build authoritative links back to our website from other websites. And I look at these like endorsements. Okay, if you have a link from one website to another, and when someone clicks on it and it takes them to that website, that's called a backlink or a link back. Okay, and what in most cases, they act like an endorsement of the website that they're sending you to. So this website here is saying, I endorse this website, this company, this business, whatever. And the more of those you have that are coming from industry relevant sites, the more authoritative, the more authority you build into your brand online. And I mentioned strategic content syndication. You can utilize press releases, blogs, social posting. There's lots of different ways, images, videos, all kinds of things to really start building out your online presence with your content. Okay, so building trust signals for our profile. We want to try and build up that brand authority that I mentioned, and that is, that you want to be, ultimately over time, you want to become the authority for the industry in your target market, so that when people think of, have a question, they begin to think of or associate you with somebody who can answer that question without having to go to Google and find someone to answer it. Okay, once you sort of built that brand awareness and brand authority over a period of time, you're going to start seeing huge growth. Okay, verification methods. If you can, there used to be a lot more postcard, email, and phone verifications of Google Business Profiles. It's a lot less now, a lot less likely that you'll trigger that. But the value of those verification methods is kind of here from top to bottom. Okay. The total number of reviews and the review velocity are all trust signals. In some cases, most cases, if your account was actually recently unsuspended, so it got flagged and suspended for whatever reason, and you managed to get it reinstated, it actually is a good thing, because it means it's gone through. It usually means it's been manually checked by a person, and therefore the algorithm will then give it more leeway and more ranking ability, from that point forward. Again, back-end engagement or activity, so routinely updating images, updating info, holiday areas, hours, replying to reviews, questions, answers, and so on. And of course, making sure that the profile is filled out completely. Okay, images, logos, store code, cover images. There's so many different fields in there that we can go in and sort of show Google like we take it seriously. We're a real business. We want to rank. We want to grow. Okay, and some local link strategies. You can go out and sponsor local sports teams and clubs. Often you can, talk to other local businesses and trade links, social media exposure, coverages, and coverage on local blogs. Okay, if there's a local blog network that you can, post something about your industry in there, they'll often take guest writers. Hosting community events. Okay, base it on, just as an idea, basing it on a specific season, Christmas, Halloween, fall, is great. Creating a local resource page, mentioning other businesses on your website, okay, that your customers might see and might end up seeing as a resource. Reaching out to schools and school districts and offering scholarships. You can get links from those edu sites or gov sites in some cases, .gov.edu. Pitching guest posts, which is like blogging on third-party websites. Host an interview with a local celebrity. This is actually a really, really, really powerful technique. And promoting that interview via your network, your socials, your blog, and to other local news outlets. This is how you sort of build that brand authority that we were mentioning. And it might not happen all at once. It takes time to deliver it, to build these strategies out. How do reviews actually help? They improve our Google rankings in the map pack, as there are multiple signals tied to reviews, okay? And again, it's activity as much as it is volume. It also increases the conversions that we kind of briefly touched on before. When you have a positive, above a 4-star ranking, you will start to see an increase in leads. If you sort of cross that threshold, for some reason you've got a low review rating and you cross that threshold, you will start to see an increase in leads. Glowing reviews become marketing and link opportunities. You can add these to your website, right? Something that people often will go looking for is reviews about your company. And if you put it right in front of them on your own website, it goes a long way for social proof. Okay, it makes a local business appear more credible, of course, to current potential customers. Now, guys, that's kind of our main idea, or our main formula behind ranking on Google Maps and starting to get that side of the market share, right? And we mentioned at the beginning that it's part of sort of a more rounded out strategy in SEO, paid ads, our list database that we build over time of customers and leads, optimizing those results, increasing conversion and our sales conversion, our website conversion. And over the years, we've sort of, the reason that we're sort of, we're in the landscaping industry is because we have a process that we know works and is repeatable, okay, and delivers consistent results. And what we've done is we've sort of broken that to a high level and built a checklist that you can go to allscapesmarketing.com/checklist and you can download this checklist for free. Okay. It's longer than what you can see here. And you can start to tick these things off, but it also might give you some other ideas that you might want to start investing, some marketing spend into and start ticking them off. But if you are ticking all of those boxes, I mentioned that we want to see 1,000 landscape companies grow to that 3x or more. This is what we're using. This is the framework that we're using to do that. So whether you use this to implement it yourself, and that would be amazing. I want to hear your feedback on how it went or how you're going. If you need any help, more than welcome to reach out. But if you go to allscapesmarketing.com/checklist, you can download this completely for free. And it gives you that high level of what we do for our clients. So thinking about the takeaways, I'm hoping that all of you guys, and you're welcome to sort of post this in the chat here if you've got anything that you wanted to sort of point out, what you learned, what you noticed, anything you'd like to share. And, I just hope that you sort of take this information, you implement the steps, implement the strategies, and really start to see those results for your business and starting to claim back that portion of the market share from some of those lead generation companies that, have taken it from local businesses for the last handful of years. So more than welcome to sort of post something in the chat there. Now, if you're in a position where you know, most business owners I know are busy people. Okay. If you're in a position where you would just want to get a one-on-one strategy session with me to go over your current marketing strategy, to look at implementing a marketing strategy, whether you're looking to work with us, whether you're looking to do it in-house, whatever it might be, feel free to go to allscapesmarketing.com/schedule. Realize that's missing the .com. And it'll take you to a calendar to book a time with me, and we can sit down, we can go over your current strategy in depth, look at what you're doing right, look at what could be better to start generating more leads online using your own assets. Okay. You can also call the number there. But with that, guys, I really hope that this helps and that you can see yourself going out and implementing these steps. But if it all seems like too much, go ahead, book a call with me and let's talk. Thanks so much.